Let's be real for a second. Have you ever felt like you're living in a completely different reality from the one you see on the news? You know, the headlines are screaming about record stock markets, low unemployment, but your bank account is telling a very, very different story. So, what is actually going on? Let's get into it. This is the big question, isn't it? It's that feeling that you're working harder than ever, but somehow you're just treading water, or maybe even falling behind. I'm here to tell you, you are not imagining it. The numbers behind those big, shiny headlines, they paint a pretty shocking picture of what's really happening for most people. Let's just start with a number, $8,000. Just look at it for a second. Believe it or not, this one single figure tells you more about the real American economy than pretty much any stock market chart ever could. So here's the deal with that number. That is the median bank account balance. That means if you have more than $8,000 in your checking or savings right now, you are, statistically, wealthier than half the entire country. Just let that sink in for a minute. This is the reality behind the so-called boom. All right, so now let's pull back the curtain and really look at the hard data. These are the stats that show the kind of financial pressure millions of Americans are dealing with every single day. Now, you might look at this and think, oh, that's just a low-income problem. But it's not at all. We're talking 2/3 of the country is trapped in this cycle, and that includes people earning well into six-figure salaries. The money comes in, and poof, it's gone. Evaporated into housing, groceries, and debt before there's a chance to save a dime. And for almost 1 in 4 people, the situation is, well, it's way more dangerous. 0 emergency savings, nothing set aside. That means a single unexpected car repair, a sudden medical bill, it's not just an inconvenience. It is a full-blown financial catastrophe just waiting to happen. Think about this for a second. Over half of all American households have absolutely nothing specifically saved for retirement. You know why? People aren't even thinking about the future because they are in a desperate fight to just survive the present. And people can feel it, right? The vibe is just off. Despite all the good news we keep hearing, nearly 1/3 of Americans actually expect their personal finances to get worse in the next year. That's the most financially pessimistic people have been since 2018. So what's behind all this? What's driving this feeling? Well, it really boils down to a nasty 1-2 punch that is knocking out household budgets all across the country. Runaway costs and just crushing debt. Yeah, you've heard that inflation has cooled off, right? But here's the thing, the damage is already done. Prices for everything are roughly 25% higher than they were just a few years ago. But did your paycheck jump 25%? For most people, it wasn't even close. And that gap, that is the chasm where financial security goes to die. And to try and get across that chasm, what do people do? They take on more debt. It's become this heavy anchor, just dragging millions of people down, making it impossible to ever really get ahead. Let's see how this breaks down by generation. You know, this isn't just a young person's problem or an old person's problem. It's an everyone problem. From Gen Z's student loans to the massive mortgage and credit card debt of millennials and Gen X, who are often called the sandwich generation, right? Because they're squeezed between kids and aging parents. Everyone is feeling this weight. And this right here, this is the trapdoor. Nearly half of all credit card holders are carrying a balance from month to month, paying interest rates that are, let's be honest, absolutely predatory. It's basically a tax on being broke, and it's designed to keep you stuck right where you are. Okay, so that all looks pretty bleak, I know. But I want to show you a different way to look at your own situation. Because the numbers you usually hear on the news, well, they're basically designed to mislead you. This is so important. Please get this. When you hear about average savings, that number is being dragged way, way up by billionaires and mega millionaires. The median is the real story. It's the true middle number, where half the country has more and half has less. It's the only number you should ever use to compare yourself. So with that in mind, let's look at the median retirement savings. Go ahead, find your age group on this chart. If you'd been beating yourself up, feeling like a failure because you don't have some huge average amount saved up, this slide might actually be a huge relief. You might be looking at this and realizing you're actually ahead of the curve, doing better than half the people your age. This is the absolute core of it all. The stress, the anxiety, that constant feeling of being behind, it's not a personal failure. It is the result of a system where wages just haven't kept up with the cost of living, and where debt has become a tool to pull wealth away from ordinary working people. So, what can you do? I mean, you can't change the national economy overnight, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. Not at all. It's time to shift your focus to what you can control. The most powerful weapon you have in this fight is right here. It's your margin. It's that little gap between what comes in and what goes out. And even if it's tiny right now, focusing on protecting and growing that margin is the absolute key to building your escape hatch from the paycheck to paycheck trap. So here's the game plan. It's simple. First, give yourself a break. Stop comparing yourself to those misleading, broken stats. Second, become obsessed with your personal margin. And third, use that little sliver of daylight you create to build a small emergency fund. That is your first real step towards stability. Look, the numbers are harsh, and the system can feel rigged, no doubt about it. But understanding where you truly stand is the first step toward changing your reality. This isn't a race against anybody else. It's a fight for your own peace of mind, for your own security. And that's a fight worth winning.